Wajir County in Kenya's northeast. Yusuf Abdullahi walks across the barren land that he has called home for close to 6 decades. While this land has always known lean times, the dry periods are now longer, their recurrence intervals ever more shorter. This is the result. Their livestock now withered, huddle at what was a watering point, but there is not a drop to quench their thirst. Pastures too have run out. The vast arid landscape now dotted with hundreds of carcasses, the result of 2 failed rain seasons.
When our animals die, we cannot get food, clothing or shelter, since livestock is our main livelihood, and if they die, we all die.
Deka Abdi knows only too well the devastation this drought has caused. Her livestock now nearly decimated.
It's a lack of pasture that these animals are dying day in, day out. This morning we pulled another one, and this evening we pulled this one. Every day we are pulling almost 2 to 3 sheep, which is affected by the drought, caused by lack of pasture.
The toll of deprivation is clear. Women make long treks in search of water and then spend hours in long queues hoping to take home enough for their families and livestock. Without pastures, they now feed their livestock on whatever they lay their hands on. Even the king of the desert, the camel, seen to be resilient, has not been spared. The situation is repeated across several parts of the country. Data from the country's National Disaster Management Authority indicates that at least 2.1 million people are on the verge of starvation. In July this year, President Uhuru Kenyatta declared the drought a national disaster. This week, Kenyatta warned that climate change risks eroding Africa's economic gains.
If we do not take any action, Africa could, as a consequence, see its gross domestic product contract by up to 30% by 2050 due to climate change.
Nowhere else is the evidence of how global warming has battered the economy than here at the BCO livestock market in Kajiado County. Kajiado is home to the Maasai, a community that depends on livestock for their livelihood. That is now under threat as the emaciated and dying herds do not fetch enough to sustain them.
I have brought my cattle to the market, but I have sold it at almost half the price because they have lost so much weight. What will be $500 has earned me half of that.
In the previous years, they would not consider selling their cattle, but more than 2 years without adequate rains means they will have to sell their herds. In the previous years, the Kenyan government would come in and buy the livestock before they are too wasted away. This time, the herders have been forced to pitch camp here. Under its national determined contributions, Kenya will need at least $62 billion to mitigate and adapt against climate change. That is about 67% of its gross domestic product. Like other poor nations, it will depend on international sources, and yet rich countries are yet to honor the $100 billion target committed in Paris in 2015 to assist countries like Kenya adapt to the effects of climate change. Time is of essence. So as world leaders meet in Glasgow, Scotland to discuss climate change and its effects on populations, millions of Africans will be hoping that this time they will also put into consideration adaptation and give them funds to be able to adapt to the fast changing climate. Sarah Kimani, SABC News in Kajiado County, Kenya.